Hello, hi, and welcome. This is Krishnanathreya on the Random Podcaster. So today we have my friend Rishi here, and before coming to India, he was living in Saudi Arabia, and he's gonna talk about his life. How was his life in Saudi, and his and the current economy over there? And over to you, Rishi.
Yes, thank you, Christian. Thank you for having me. And yeah, like you said, I'll just be giving a quick sum up of my life over there, and how is Saudi quite different from India, and like how that affected me. And I'll just give a quick summary on how their economy is doing right now as well.
Okay, so we'll start with the questions. So, how was life? How was life like in Saudi?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, one thing which the first thing I noticed, I think it's pretty common among all the people who are watching right now who lived in Saudi, is the weather. Yeah, so from other countries, if you compare it, Saudi is one of the hottest countries because it reaches, especially in Riyadh, up to around 53 degrees Celsius. So that's it's quite hot there. Whereas, but one main difference between India and Saudi in terms of the weather is that the weather in India is actually hot and humid during summers. It's quite humid here as well.
Yes,
But
I know
whereas
that.
in Saudi actually it's just hot, so you don't feel that humidity. So I quickly noticed that difference when I first came to India. But as a response to that hot weather, I think one of the main things the king did was he made sure that every place which attracts quite a lot of people had centralized air conditioning. So whenever you had like a long drive or you're going to a place like by walking or cycling, uh, as soon as you enter the mall or a house, let's say, you immediately feel the coolness, so your body doesn't get too hot and get a sunstroke or other health dangers. So um, so it doesn't really affect the people there when they're traveling, the weather, because there's centralized AC everywhere. So that's one of the responses the king did for high temperatures over there.
Okay.
So
Second.
that was one of the first thing, my first impression over there.
Oh, okay. So, what is so special with Saudi Arabia that's not in any other country that you would say?
Okay, so well, one of the main things which I noticed at least was the productivity levels over there. And due to the reduction in the population, it was much easier for the laborers to, start these constructions without any difficulties. So they had a really quick responses whenever they had like a damaged building or a new constructing a new bridge. But we all know in India, it'll take maybe more than a year or so to construct a bridge, but over there it'll take less than 3 months per se. So they're
Yeah,
really quick in that term.
one
So I think
anecdote,
that was good.
one thing
Yes.
I would like to say is actually, so when I used to live in my old apartment, my I used to live in the center of the city before coming to the place where I right now live, because it was right now in the center of the city. And then you see, like, in the morning you'll see buses going out, and then in the night you'll see all the buses coming in to the CMBT Mofassil bus stand.
Mhm.
And then that used to be happening in one side. The other side was all buses coming from Bangalore,
Mhm.
Andhra, and other states. And then
Exactly.
the I think what the government started to build a bridge from the I don't know that place's name. So from Tirumari side to so that cars and trucks can go below, and then bikes can go down. That project till I know that I saw it's not yet completed, and that's how late in India people bring it.
Yeah, so that was like one of the main things I saw. So quickly they were able to build like hospitals or even skyscrapers in less than a year. And I think one more thing which really stood out for me was the fact that they have extremely low rates of taxes, especially in Riyadh.
Why
It is
is that?
correct. So that one because they're able to. Well, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So Saudi and Riyadh. So whenever you ask a person like what's the main thing, like you really which surprises you when you first go to Saudi, they'll for sure say uh, low rates of taxes. And according to the Financial Express city rankings, Riyadh is one of the best places to live in with high ratings in housing, costs of living, and even safety.
Okay.
So the average living expense will be significantly will be lower compared to other cities, especially in housing market. And moving to Riyadh will actually decrease your daily costs of living. So you'll be able to make sure that you have other things to buy as well. So over there you don't have to worry about paying taxes over there. And when I say taxes, I mean mainly indirect taxes like VAT, sales tax, etc. But
And
so that was a period where they had zero taxes. But as
oh,
soon as so around 2015, 15ish, 2014 end, the prince actually said then only they started taxing. They introduced a value added tax around
what?
2015 starting. Yeah. So
So
why they actually didn't have taxes is because a simple answer in a nutshell, to be like really straightforward, they were actually pretty rich, so they didn't need the extra money. So because their oil exports were really high, and they made quite a lot of revenue from exporting oil. So they were just sitting on oil money, so they didn't really I mean, it's not like they didn't want to, but it's more like they didn't have the need to.
okay.
They really didn't need that extra because they thought that if they so one of the main reasons another main reason why they didn't want to tax is because they were already have faced with a lower population. Around 2010-ish they had quite a less population. The demographics was quite bad for them, so they thought that if they implemented taxes, that would actually reduce the amount of people coming into Saudi, because high rates of taxes are politically unpopular, right? So they thought that that would backfire at them. But as soon as 2015-ish started, they faced a fall, like a small decrease, which affected them a lot in oil exports, because that was when they actually saw that was when they actually faced with the hard fact or sad fact that oil is actually slowly running out, and they started using their reserves around 2016 itself.
Oh,
So it is said that the Saudi government actually said that they will probably still have oil for another 40 years, 40 to 50 years more.
okay.
Yeah. And another main reason why their oil exports decreased is because of their main competitor, which is Norway.
Norway,
Norway.
as you
Yeah, Christian,
told me
you
before.
know. Yeah, so Norway actually increased their exports, which affected Saudi's competition in the market. So that was one reason. That's not like one of the biggest reasons, but that was one of the reasons why they had to, face that decrease in exports for oil. So that was quite an interesting phase for Saudi, because that was when they actually realized that they can't sit on oil money forever. So there was a turning point for them over there. So then they introduced taxes, and now they were back to normal.
Yeah, so are they like other like what is your favorite, what's the most famous thing in Saudi Arabia, like food or any touristy place in Saudi?
In Saudi. So I think one of the main tourist attractions there is I think the key attraction, a key feature which distinguishes Saudi from other countries is the fact that they have 30 million inhabitants, and out of that 30 million, 93% of them are Muslim. And according to PAW Research Center in Saudi Arabia, the country is officially a Muslim nation. So one way to look about it is that Islam actually plays the central role in Saudi Arabia society, and it has been said by many people that Islam is actually more than just a religion for them. They feel like it's a way of life in Saudi. So it's Saudi has a rich cultural difference there. So the main attraction is the two holy mosques located in Mecca and Medina, as you probably heard, right? And they're namely called Al Masjid Al Haram, if I'm pronouncing it right, in Mecca, and Al Masjid Al Nawawi in Medina, which is the two holiest places in Saudi Arabia. So most of the people are mainly attracted in Mecca and Medina to experience that rich culture and rich religion they follow over there. So I think that was one of the main tourist spots there you asked.
Yeah,
And
so
if you
it's
see the
like
food,
one for Shia Muslims and other for one for Shia Muslims and the other one for what was the other Muslims? You know?
well, I'm not too sure about the distinction between Muslims, but
Oh, okay.
I hope that
Oh
answers
yeah,
your
it's
question.
Shia and Sunni.
So, yeah. So I hope that answers your question on the main tourist attraction there. So another, I think you mentioned the food there as well.
Yeah.
So apart from the rich connection with their religion, if you happen to be a foodie, and I know Christian is, in my opinion, I think the best thing you can bring back home from Saudi is the dates. Let me just tell you, they are nothing like the dates you might find in India. Okay, so one of the main reasons why they have such a good quality is the external factors affecting their growth there of dates. Because the best climate for growing dates is arid or semi-arid with long hot summers. So Saudi is known for long hot summers. So that's why date trees actually produce such good quality dates over there. And apart from just selling those normal dates, Saudi actually the business there, which is mainly by Almarai, which is like one of the main suppliers of many of the food items there, like milk or curd. They also produce a variety of dates. Like, for example, to attract more people, especially children, they have chocolate coated dates.
Wow.
So, yeah, so they have variety, like, many types, like honey coated, etc. So, it's really good over there as well. And I think, as you all might have known, even the tea over there is really good. The tea. So,
Yeah, so I think whenever my dad went to Dubai for work, he would buy those dates, and then
mm.
if
And all of
when
those dates which are in Dubai, around 63% in that range, 63 to 65% are actually imported from Saudi.
wow, what?
Most of them are from Saudi. All the dates in Dubai and all of UAE actually. Most of them are from Saudi.
Oh,
And
okay.
you can find some imported dates in India as well from Saudi.
Because
Yeah.
whenever because one true fact about me is I hate dates. So
I'm sure the Saudi dates might change your mind on your opinion on dates because they're really good. Like how in India you have Lion Dates, which are the main supplier in India. Like
yeah.
that over there you have Al Marai. So
So
that's the name of the brand.
so whenever like a biscuit packet got over and those dates were there, I would eat them. So that used to be my only alternative. So yeah. And then the here comes the next question. How does Saudi's current economy look like right now?
So Saudi's economy, I think most of you probably know this. It's not looking good right now. And you see, uh, their main source of income was from exporting five different grades of crude oil. And I'm sure all of you know that crude oil is actually a fossil fuel, which means that it will eventually run out. So it's inevitable for them to, run out of oil someday. And one of the main grades of oil which they export is Arabian Heavy and Arabian Light to other countries like India, United States, etc. And these are all mainly from Kuwait. That's like the source for them. And so as soon as they got hit with the reduction in oil supply, they had to start using their reserves. And so, even Saudi started to Aramco. I think you've heard of Aramco. So Saudi Aramco is also one of the main industries which produce or extract oil from the ground. So they also partnered with Kuwait, and they slowly started to, somehow increase the supply. So so as we all know, it's a fossil fuel. So oil is non-renewable. So this means that Saudi is going to run out of oil soon, and the price of oil is actually collapsed. So storage will rapidly run out, and the oil companies face the real prospect of having cap walls. Cap walls are basically, yeah. So the oil and gas sector accounts for up to 50% of the kingdom's GDP and 70% of its export earnings. So if Saudi, increases their prices of oil, uh, other countries will seek alternatives. So they'll probably buy more from Norway than coming to Saudi or Kuwait.
Or
And the main reason why they increased their prices is because they were facing a reduction in supply. You can maybe somehow link this to how the onion prices in India increased. Why? Because the farmers didn't have enough supply of onions. So that led to a rapid increase in the prices of onions. So similarly over here, as soon as Saudi faced that reduction in supply, they actually had to increase their prices. So that's also so another reason why they had to increase their prices, even in Saudi itself, is because, like I said before, they had to increase their revenue. So even in Saudi, there was a huge increase in price, and they also increased their taxes, value-added taxes as well. And so now, right now, to make sure they can cope up in the foreseeable future, for the long term as well, they want to attract more tourists there, like how Dubai is doing. So if you compare it to how it was before, there was actually strict regulation on certain things like movie theaters and amusement parks because it was against their religion. So they didn't really have any of that infrastructure there. So it didn't attract many people at all. So now when they're faced with this situation where where they're lacking the proper capital to invest in other things, they want to somehow increase their source of revenue. So now they're mainly focusing on investing in infrastructure, which is basically better healthcare or more amusement parks and theaters. So as of 2018, no sorry, 2019, Riyadh opened its first ever movie theater.
it only happened in 2019.
Yeah, in 2018 end. It's quite surprising.
Wow.
So that was the
It's
first.
quite surprising. Me too.
Yeah.
So,
And the amusement parks are also very limited in Saudi. So if I ever want to watch a movie, I had to travel all the way to Bahrain, which is a pretty close neighbor to Saudi. So in Bahrain, they have theaters and amusement parks. So I had to travel all the way there if I want to watch a movie. But now, even Saudi has not yet opened a movie theater, but they have opened one in Riyadh, and they're slowly, changing their laws. Like one of the main things which actually reduced their output was their female workforce. Women participation rates were extremely low because they were not given rights equally. Like driver license, women were not allowed to drive cars in Saudi, and they were sometimes even discouraged from working as a whole. So now, and also women are also compulsorily have to wear the black robe, which is called abaya there, whenever they're traveling to places. But now they didn't make it mandatory anymore. So they removed that rule. So slowly things are changing there, and they're trying their best to cope up with how their situation is right now. So I think one of the main things they wanted to achieve with removing the mandatory abaya rule and giving women the right to drive and work as well is mainly to attract people to come to Saudi. So they're hoping actually that they can come to a situation similar to Dubai, because Dubai right now, one of the main revenue for Dubai is obviously the
Go to
tourist
the
attraction Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa.
Burj
That's one
Khalifa,
of
Ferrari World,
the world.
and
Exactly.
and
So they have these
the
specific
Jumeirah
things like,
Beach,
yeah. So when you hear Dubai, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Burj Khalifa, the
But when you
tallest
hear
building
the
in the world.
so when you hear Saudi Arabia, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Always Mecca and Medina.
Exactly, exactly. You're right. So Saudi is trying to change that perspective of people, and they are trying to, somehow come to a similar situation to Dubai. So they want to have that adequate infrastructure to attract more people to join in, and hopefully increase their bad situation they're in right now.
The last question of the thing was, what are your positives and negatives living in Saudi Arabia after 12 years?
Yeah, so I think yeah, so I said this before, the amount of freedom I got over here. So that was one of the best advantages of me coming to India. So I was, a free person here. I was not restricted to like a certain thing in like, because if whereas in Saudi I had to, make sure that people are, not too clingy on to me being a Hindu. But
Uh,
over here, I felt more, with everyone in society rather than, being emitted like I was in Saudi because I was Hindu. So that was one main advantage. And another advantage is, I think, apart, like, so I'm a vegetarian. So the main advantage for me is that I had a variety of vegetarian foods here, like South Indian, North Indian. So that was, but whereas in Saudi, most of the people there are non-vegetarian, right? So like if you go to a pizza place, they would have only one type of pizza, which is
chicken.
one type of veg pizza, one type of veg pizza, which is
Okay.
just a variety of vegetables into one. But whereas in India, you have paneer, you have other like mainly just capsicum pizzas or whatever. So I think that that also was one of the, for me at least, and for all the vegetarians watching. So I felt like there was a variety of vegetarian foods in India compared to Saudi. So that was one of the main advantages as well.
Okay. So, yeah, and there were no negatives actually.
I think I've mentioned the negatives before. The weather, the infrastructure, safety concerns. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think I went into detail about that, right? So
yes, you went.
yeah.
And with that, we would conclude the video. Thank you for watching this video, and please make sure you
Yeah.
like, share,
Thank
and
you for having
subscribe.
me. Thank you for
Like,
having me,
share, and
Christian.
subscribe. Thank you.